The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Don't adjust your screen. There is nothing wrong. You're about to enter a world where the very concept of time is rendered obsolete by the sheer power of entertainment. You're about to enter the Boggis Hour. The host of the Boggis Hour, Greg Boggis.
On this episode of the Boggis Hour, we explore the supernatural with our special guest, the queen of the paranormal, Kadrolsha Ona Carole. So, here I am with the queen of the paranormal, Kadrolsha Ona Carole.
Yes.
Good to see you.
And you pronounced it right, too.
Oh.
That's good.
A lot of practice. So tell me about who you are and what you do.
Well, like it says, the paranormal. Queen of the Paranormal was just a guy called into a radio show I was doing in 2006, and he coined me Queen of the Paranormal. He says, I think you should be the Queen of the Paranormal. And it stuck, so I trademarked it. Yeah. And I've been using that to go out and to educate people. I use a video format in the television to educate people to the ways of the paranormal unknown.
So how did you get into investigating the paranormal? Well,
I'd have to say I was born into it. We have over 7 women in our family that go back that has skills in spirit communication and dream interpretation and passed down through the family. I grew up thinking everybody could do this until you get into junior high school and stuff, and you have peer pressure and you realize that you're really an oddball. With a southern accent up here in New England.
Sure, yeah, that definitely makes you an oddball.
I quelled it. But then the urge was just a little bit too strong. And I found that I could actually help people by maybe communicating as a psychic would or a psychic medium. I don't like to do that much. What I like to do is let you feel the power of the spirit world, which I've been doing for years, even as a young girl, too. So that's what I do. It's been a long, long time I've been doing this.
Wow. So tell me about Cece the Huntress and all the episodes of that.
Well, we came up with the name Cece Carole because no one can pronounce Kadrolsha Ona. So Cece just seemed to be easier. And I starred in a series of shows called, 85 of them, matter of fact, called Cece the Huntress. And we would go to investigative places and to look for the paranormal unknown. We did some inns. We would do high action, skillful things. I'm pretty agile. You'd see me rappelling, down a cliff or swimming up a rocky bend into a cave, or horseback riding. I
won't be doing any of that.
Or climbing into a well, not being lowered up with a swing, just free climbing into the well, and doing things like that, pushing the limits of the paranormal, having it live right in front of your face. It's not taken to the studio and then re-edited. What you see is what you get. In the documentary part in the beginning, where I give you an educational history lesson, we do edit that, to make sure that we are accurate with that education and with the history on that. But the investigation itself is live to tape. So I come up with a lot of different techniques which are groundbreaking. Like one of them that I like, my kids helped me, we created this. It's, you just take, we were using at the time a little recorder with the tape in it. Yep. And we'd ask a series of a question or two. we'd rewind it and play it back instantly so the camera could hear it. And since then, we've seen people on other shows using it. I just, honest to God, wish they would give me credit for what credit is due. But when people do see that technique, and because I have had that job promotion, now they're realizing it really is that girl. We can go back to YouTube. We can watch that. We can see the timestamp on it. It was long before anybody else. And I'm finally getting the recognition that I deserve and my children deserve on those groundbreaking techniques.
What year did you start doing CC the Huntress?
Oh, geez, 2004.
Wow, so you've been doing that for some time.
Yeah, we did
and
that.
Was it something that you put online?
No, we had it on WNDS, broadcast TV through New England.
Yep.
We also had it on cable, which we had leased access cable. Before that, we had access cable, so then we leased the channel, and then we went into New England cable. So we have been all over the board with CC the Huntress, shown all over the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was the most interesting place you went to doing CC the Huntress?
Scary or interesting?
Well, all right, why don't we do a couple? What was the most interesting?
The most interesting place, I would have to say, would be under the streets of Salem, Massachusetts. These tunnels that they used to use to take the products from Derby Wharf and smuggle them in so they didn't have to pay taxes or the tariff.
Keep them
for the
away
king
from
and
the
then for
feds or the king or
Jefferson. Yeah,
whoever.
they'd have these little tunnels, you know, that you'd go in, and you could see what houses they'd go in, but they'd hide the merchandise in homes. And you could always tell the home because the fireplace was flush up against the left wall, and they had a tunnel up under there they could get in.
Really?
It was wild. But we were in these tunnels, and this particular tunnel was adjacent to the the museum, Peabody Museum.
Oh, the Peabody Essex.
So there was a lot of artifacts down there, historical artifacts and tunneling. And they had to collapse about a day or two after we did that shoot. They collapsed them for, they're rebuilding utility lines in the street. So we're able to really get in there and do that. And I found that most interesting to see, you know, from way back when. And you can go to Derby Wharf, you can see that, and just imagine the trails underneath there and to where the stores are. And like right above you are the stores. It was like incredible.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's one of the interesting things about, you know, New England. It was the first place in the, you know, the country that was becoming heavily populated early on. So it has all of these, you know, obviously there's other parts of the country that do have some old history too, especially out west with the Native Americans and all that. But around here, there's a lot of that colonial history, and there's a lot of that. Those artifacts are still about.
Yeah, and it was just fun being in the tunnels. I mean, just as never mind the spiritual implications, but hey, you know, I'm a fan of the whole thing anyway. So I've got these big eyes,
Salem's
and I'm
quite the
looking,
fun
going,
town.
wow.
I used to work at the New England Pirate Museum back in the day.
Really?
Yes, and I was a pirate. I was a tour guide. I was supposed to be a 15-year-old boy, except I was about a 30-year-old overweight guy. So I tried to get them to rewrite the script so I was a real pirate, but they wanted me to dress like the boy. So, anyhow, Salem was a lot of really fascinating history. So that was the most interesting one. What was the most scary?
Well, since we're in the Nashua area, there's a restaurant in Merrimack, New Hampshire, called Tortilla Flats.
Okay.
And the original house was built in 1776 that houses Tortilla Flats.
That's on the old Route 3, I think.
Yes, on the Daniel Webster Highway.
Highway.
What people don't realize is it was actually part of the Underground Railroad, and I found the entrance. It's behind the stairs down in the dirt basement of the original building, the original structure.
And do you, in the episode, do you show all of this?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
You'll be able to see it all. You'll be able to see just a whole bunch of stuff that we've done there. In fact, I've had groups and events there. I think 6 of them, and jam-packed the whole place because we're filled with a lot of education, historical education and documentation. So you have a rumor of, oh my gosh, the restaurant. But then when you hear the actual historical facts, some of them match up and some of them don't.
Right.
You get decades in between for people to, you know, embellish or whatever, and get more business
after a few
or something.
margaritas.
Oh yeah. So we were able to match the history with the place. show the path to the Underground Railroad to the people there. And it was this particular show at Tortilla Flats was done live over the internet.
Oh, neat.
And so here we are live, and I'm feeling something on my shoulder going up to the second floor. And I kept, ew, what is this? You know, like a bug, could have been a bug or a spider. And when we re-rolled the tape to watch it, you know, after it had already gone up, you can see these like big bubbles going bing and swing by us. So I slowed it down, and I'm watching, and they're translucent. So it's not a bug. And I don't think dust is that big.
That seems kind of big.
You know, they say that the orbs are the weakest form of spirit energy. Maybe that's what it was. But when I got to the top of the stairs, I didn't want to go in the room. It's the first and last time it's ever happened. Let's hope it doesn't happen again, knock on wood. I couldn't go in the room. I said, I just got a feeling, don't go in there. And I don't want to tempt fate. So my son, who was the videographer for that shoot, he went in the room. And he felt fine.
Yeah.
But me, I did not feel fine. So I just let him go and do the filming in there. And it bothers me to this day. I drive by, I can look at the door, I can go in the building, but I can't glance up to those windows. No, I don't go up there. There's just something creepy about that. So I would say, to me, that's the scariest
So the tortilla
place.
flat.
Yeah.
The tortilla
Harmless
flat.
tortilla flats. We get a taco and a margarita. I won't go upstairs.
Wow,
there
that's
you go.
interesting.
Yeah.
So what other places in, you know, like the Nashua area other of note? I mean, I know there's the place in, was it Salem? Or is it
Canopy
Pelham?
Lake Park?
No, okay. What is it? The Stonehenge there. Is that Pelham or Salem?
That's in, you know what? I think it's in Salem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But is there are there any other places around?
Well, I wrote a book
Nashua?
called Ghosts and Legends of the Merrimack Valley for History Press. I was their first test pilot for the book.
Ah.
And so now you've got a lot of haunted books out by them.
Correct.
But I was the first one, and I took the story from where the Merrimack Valley started, the White Mountains, on down through to the ocean,
Yep.
and all the different periods of time and the hauntings that went with them. And these are places you can actually visit. So if you want to go to my website, queenoftheparanormal.com, you can pick up a book. But we have places like the Common Man right over here. We got country
in Merrimack?
Right in Merrimack. Yeah. And what people don't realize about the Common Man.
Is that another old building?
Yes, it used to be Hannah Jack's restaurant.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yes, and one of the signers from the Declaration of Independence, he signed it. He lived there. His wife was Hannah Jack's, and what was amazing about it is it stayed in the family so long, and then it was converted into a regular home for a little while, a boarding facility, and then restaurants and bars and taverns. It was part of the Underground Railroad, and the tunnel that exists there, I'll tell you where it is because they won't let you go see it anymore. But if you're looking straight at the house from Daniel Webster Highway, look at the left-hand corner. In the basement, there's a freezer there that blocks the hole. Underground. Now, if you go straight across there, it takes a straight shot down towards the river, and there really is an entrance. I won't tell you anything about.
Okay.
But a woman took me down there because her husband had played in the tunnel. And it's half collapsed here and there, very dangerous. So I want you to know where it is. But yeah, these things really do exist, and they're literally in your backyard. And so the book consists of stories from there. Also, the Country Tavern in Nashua.
Yeah, which is that's a notorious one. That's been around for
Well, you know what?
some time,
I'm going
right?
to tell you, notorious rumored. And the historical facts and documentation do not match up to the rumor of the haunting.
Aha.
But for saving face for the restaurant, there are spirits there. I have run many. Well, yeah, there you
Those
go.
kind of
Yeah, we're
spirits.
drinking a little bit, sure. But they have spirits there. We've done at least 8 sold-out events there. We've sold out more than anybody has for Gold Star Mothers, for the Red Cross. We're always connected with giving to a charity. And just pack them in, and we tell the real history. But people have to realize that, so it didn't match up. But there are spirits there. And in that bathroom where they say the ghost of Elizabeth.
So what's the myth, or at least the story?
Well, the story is Elizabeth, a young, beautiful girl, married a sea captain. And her husband...
That seems like a very common thread in a lot of...
He went off to sea, and he came back, and she had a little baby boy.
Uh-oh.
But the months didn't add up. So he killed her, buried her outside, and threw the baby down the well.
Oh.
Okay, that's
Creepy
the story. Now, that story came about when it first became the restaurant.
Aha.
Okay, and I'm sure the reason it came about was because they do have spirits in there that cause a little trouble here and there, and especially down in the ladies' restroom and the men's restroom, there is a little spirit down there that raises havoc, and it might pull your hair or scare you, like that. People feel it all the time, and a lot of time it's the placebo effect.
Sure.
People think so hard, they've been preconditioned that something's going to happen, that no matter what it is, they swear it happened, when indeed it's just psyche. And I always tell people 98% of paranormal is all in your head. It's all BS. It's the 2% I look for. But getting back to that.
Do you also consider yourself a debunker?
I'm a debunker first and a skeptic always, because
that's how I find all of these things very fascinating.
Yeah, me too.
But I also think that, a lot of times,
come on now,
yeah, it just seems like.
Yeah, I get calls all the time.
You got to convince me, folks.
I will. Now, whether you're going to let me do it on camera or not, I don't know. But I brought the dowsing rods. I brought a radio man this weekend. I was on a show, and I brought him to tears.
Oh.
I don't know if I'll be able to do that for you.
Oh, boy.
Maybe laughter because you're a comedian. But yeah, it's an amazing, fascinating thing, and I'm a consultant to a lot of paranormal teams worldwide, in Scotland, in India. We'll work with the Google Translator, and I'll work on cases with them. And inevitably, we're going to find one team who has a demon. And she's possessed by a demon. And I'm thinking, oh, here we go again. Yeah. So my first...
Yeah, that seems like a pretty a recurring thing as of late.
Yeah, it's called TV, called Hollywood. So I'm often, and I don't think I'm rude, but, I just say, look, call the 5 o'clock news. Because the woman's head should still be spinning around by the time they get there. It's not going to stop. The books are going to still be flying off the bookshelf. Call the news. You need a lot of witnesses. You do. You have to witness everything, get it out there to the media, and then we'll call somebody to exorcise the demon out of there. Now, they hear that, and they go, why are you making fun of us? They're convinced. I said, did you call your information properly? We have to look for medication, psychiatric problems, emotional issues with men and women.
So do you have like is there a given checklist that you have for a given phenomenon, or do you I
like to say it's common sense, but people do have a checklist, and they pretty much mirror each other from paranormal team to paranormal team. You really have to get to the crux of it. Does this person want 15 minutes of fame and be on a TV show?
Right.
Does the team want to be on a TV show? I feel bad for families that really feel they're affected. And most of the time, it could be a man or a gentleman that just lost a partner or spouse, and they're lonely.
Sure.
So they think they're seeing things, they think they're hearing things. And these things, what they don't understand is that's normal. That's in the realm of normal. That's not paranormal. That parallels normal. Being lonely and hearing someone's voice,
Sure.
Hearing your grandmother's voice after she's passed away, we can recall that.
Right.
People,
Sure. I mean, that's the mind giving you.
Yeah, and people laugh about ghost sex and all this stuff like that. But when you look at the sorrow of the individual that lost that closeness or that physical contact, they could have a dream about it. And it is so real. It is so real that it's happening because it's real, because their mind made it happen. That doesn't mean they have the spirit of the person there.
Right.
It just means they're lonely and they're grieving. And we don't we shouldn't exploit that by saying someone's possessed by a demon, let's go throw salt on them or something. I'm more of a realist when it comes to this.
So when you come across those kind of things, do you end up talking to the person who claims to be
Well,
or
I look
is
at the
possessed?
information from the team first, and I look to see what they've done in the way of educating the person. Don't take them verbatim that all this is happening, and when in doubt, educate. Educate on the fact that certain medications can do this, certain health problems, people with sleep apnea, different types of health
They make some pretty hellacious noises.
Yeah, I know, really, you think there's a demon there, but you have to go through the full list, and then you have to be smart and use your common sense. What's going on? Is it something where you might have to call in, child services or something, because they say their child is being scratched, and then they're showing me the bruises and the scratches, and I'm looking, really? Okay. So then we talk to the child, always with the parents there.
Right.
And, when you ask simple questions like, what's your favorite ghost show? Do you watch these shows? Or what's your favorite ghost cartoon? Or just something. And you try to get a feel for all of this. And when you see answers where they have to look at the parent, then, hey, listen, I used to be a cop. So I'm going back to that analytical detective type mode when I try to get, my questioning or my answers. And I'll keep going back and I'll keep going back. The truth never changes. It's always something embellished and made up that does. So you have little red flags. I don't see a ghost having fingernails at all. So I don't know how they could scratch you. But I do know that we're dealing with energy. And just like a laser beam in an operation, they might have reached out and decided to touch you. And the heat of the energy might have done this. But they're not scratching with fingernails. We have to use our common sense when we're dealing with the paranormal. And that's what I do. I try to bring the real back into it instead of getting everyone hysterical, please sign me up for a network deal, like that.
Wow, that's neat. So there's a couple other things I wanted to ask, and one was about your connection to The Exorcist, the film.
Oh, yes. This is great.
Which is, we talked about prior to this, but The Exorcist is one of those
The
movies
Exorcist,
that almost everybody has seen.
And I want to tell you, Linda Blair's a real cool chick. Her and I get along very well, like extremely well. We're at conventions. A wonderful girl, and she has her foundations, for animals and things, and I do my donating, for pet care and things like that myself for different shelters. So we have a lot in common.
Right. Before you go on to it, I was saying too that what she went through to make that movie probably would not be allowed.
No,
today,
and especially when she got injured so badly, and she's still suffering from that. I mean,
she was really kind of put through an emotional ringer.
An emotional ringer, to say the least.
Shouldn't be put through in order to just make a movie.
No, they have I think laws out now to protect young actresses and actors. But going back to The Exorcist itself, they were coming out with the 40th anniversary of The Exorcist. But before that, I'm going to have to say a good 10 years ago, maybe longer. I met a gentleman named Bob Boyd Communications, right here in Nashua. And he and Mike Siegel, who was he still is a radio show host, and he does television, and he was out of Boston, now he's in Los Angeles. They had these tapes, these interviews with Father Gallagher. And he'd tell me all about it. And I would just hammer away, get them transferred onto a DVD so we can watch them. I think we have something here. I think we could market this. And I pushed him, and then he got it done and put it on DVD, and I came up with a test product. And I call it switchback editing, where I took the movie, and then I took Father Gallagher. So I took what Father Gallagher said, you unclean spirits, according to the bishop's files. He had them in his hand. And then you could see the priest in the movie, you unclean spirits, verbatim of the bishop's file. Obviously, some didn't match, some matched. But for the most part, I put things that matched back and forth to see where the consistency was. We took it to many events, Bob and I, and what did the public think? They were riveted. Then Bob and Mike Siegel got together, and Mike Siegel took it to Warner Brothers, where they purchased 20 minutes of it.
Oh, wow.
And now on top of that, when you look at it, it's on the director's cut. If you look at that and look at what I gave as the example, you swear to God it's the same thing. Bip, 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 back and forth, back and forth. And so proud of that. And of course, better editing on their part, better camera work and audio, but it's still the same idea. It's still there, and just so proud to be part of that, to be able to, have that tag to my name.
Neat. So in closing, what do you have in line for the future?
I have a lot of events. You can go to queenoftheparanormal.com and you can come and see me at these Comic-Cons. I used to do the paranormal conventions, but I took a job promotion. Instead of 200 people a day, it's 30,000 a day, so I can teach and educate. And that's what's important to me. I want people to feel the power of the spirit world, not with a medium in between interpreting what the spirits say. I want you to experience that, and I put my hands up, you've seen it in the pictures, and then you experience that through dowsing rods. And people are brought to tears. Bigger men than you go down on the ground. It's a feeling that's ungodly. I mean, it's very godly, excuse me, but it's inhuman to feel something so electric that jolts you and goes through you like that. So that's what I do. I teach the paranormal. I travel all over the world, and I try to bring closure and comfort to people.
Very nice. Well, it was a pleasure meeting you. And
nice meeting you too.
Glad to have you on, and hope to have you again.
Oh, I hope so.
If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on The Boggis Hour, email us here at theboggushour@gmail.com.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.